Hello, viewers. It's your co-host OBG, and it's another wonderful session here on Broken Not Shattered. It's nice having you back again another week. Today, in the studio with me is a very phenomenal person by name Uju. Uju is based up in the UK. She is a sickle cell warrior and the founder of Sickle Cell Warrior Foundation. Without wasting much time, I want to bring Uju up to the stage. Uju, you are welcome to Broken Not Shattered. How you
Thank
doing?
you. I'm fine, thank you.
It's amazing seeing you again. The last time we tried to get into the studio, it wasn't that convenient, but we're happy we're having you again today. And honestly, we appreciate you being in the studio with us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, would you please tell us a little about Uju? Tell us how you want to introduce yourself to the audience.
So my name is Uju Kedi. You can call me Ujunwa. Yeah.
Okay? Is that all we need to know about Uju?
I'm a warrior, sickle cell warrior. I'm a mother of two. I also run several businesses. I have a foundation as well. I run my foundation. You can check me out on Uju Sickle Cell Warriors on Instagram.
Interesting. Uju, your story is quite a very phenomenal story. Um, it is not like the conventional stories. But before I get into asking you some other questions, can you tell us what was this journey like?
First of all, I was born in Nigeria and I relocated from Nigeria to the UK. I came to the UK at the age of 1 year. I was still a baby when I came to UK. But before then, my parents would always take me to the hospital. My mom would always take me to the hospital. I was always sick. I was going from one hospital to one hospital. The one time they would say it's malaria, one time they would say it's another thing, different kind of confusion. But without standing, they still kept trying to see what was wrong with me when I was still in Nigeria. So my mom's elder sister, she was the one who brought majority of us, me, myself, and my mom and a few of her other siblings to the UK. At the time, obviously, I was still sick, but they were still managing it. It was now when I came to the UK that they took me to hospital again to find out what really was wrong with me. And then they did all the necessary tests, examinations, and everything, and they could find that. Then they found out that I have sickle cell.
Wow. So would you there were
Allergy.
several things tied to your story, right? Um you went from one level of struggle to the other, from ill health to abuse and others. But we want to break it down. So first, how has been this journey of being a sickle cell warrior, and how did you come about that you know that acronym sickle cell warrior, or that phrase sickle cell warrior, and to run a foundation for sickle cell?
So basically, I started sharing my journey in 2017. 2017 was the mark where God said that He was going to use me to share my story with many people around the world. And not only that, I at the time also when they found out I was a sickle cell, um, they also said that it will never be possible for me to have kids, They also said that it would never be possible for me to live the age of 12 years, that it's not going to be possible, that I should not even try having kids because it's not going to happen. So when I fell pregnant in 2017 and I found I was pregnant, it was one of the biggest miracle in my life because I wasn't expecting to be pregnant. They said I was not going to be pregnant. So many things that they said that right now I am able to do. So at the time, I was facing complications in my first pregnancy, my first son, my son, complications whereby they said that he's not going to make it. They were thinking of doing emergency C-section. Even to now, I don't know why they didn't do that C-section, but eventually I had safe delivery, and it was up until there. I told God that if he allowed me to have my child safely, I was going to share my story, and that has been the case. I came up with Uju Sickle Cell Warriors just on that after I had my son, that I gave that name Uju Sickle Cell Warriors.
So, that brings me to, this part of it. What is that biggest misconception about sickle cell warrior? There definitely must have been this misconception that the layman have about sickle cell warrior. What's the biggest misconception?
So for me, they say that we are not able to live a certain age, we're not able to, strive, we're not able to have children. I am one of the biggest testimony for myself and for my whole generation is that I've been able to have not one but two. And this is medical science telling me that I can't have children. This is medical science that is telling me that I cannot live past 12 years or past the 13, whatever. But next month I'm about to be 39. So it depends on determination. It depends on what you want and believing in yourself, not always believing in medical science. I didn't say you shouldn't listen to them more, but believe more in yourself and then in the world. Yeah.
Interesting. So you were going to go on a very short break. And when we're back, we'll continue from there. Just a quick break. You're welcome back to the show. And if you're
Thank
joining
you.
us and this is Broken Not Shattered, where we
Thank
tell
you.
our stories to help others find strength. And today on the show is Uju is a sickle cell warrior, and she has a very beautiful story. But before I get back to you, we are on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Spotify, and YouTube. And we will tell you to follow us on all our social media platforms. Subscribe, share, comment, and like as well. Thank you so much, viewers, for stopping in week in, week out to always have an idea of what to do on our platform. Thank you, guys. So, would you back to what we were discussing before we went on the break? We've been able to really touch on some of the misconceptions we ought to have started with, which is, can you bring to the layman what sickle cell is all about? For one who doesn't know, give us a breakdown of what it is all about.
So sickle cell is a lifetime condition. It's to do with the blood. No, normal people, will I say normal people who don't have sickle cell, their shapes are in a oversized, but our own cells are like C shape, and when they are cluttered, when they are thick, when they are cluttered, like the blood cannot pass through very well, and that's why you hear people having say, or people say, I'm having a crisis, is because the blood is not able to flow very well, and the bloods are sticking, all the cells are sticking together. So that's when you say a patient or someone who has sickle cell be in a particular pain or crisis. and it's not
Okay.
contagious, because people think that sickle cell is contagious. It's not. It has to do with it has to do with family background.
So is it a contagious disease? Is it how do
No, it's
people
not
get sickle
contagious.
cell?
So it has to be from either your parents.
So now I really wanted you to make this, you know, um, to clear this so we can get into the other question I wanted to ask you, which is there is this phrase by you that in one of your it is one of the sections in your book where you titled The Ignorant Yes. When love isn't enough. Can you throw more light on that?
So, firstly, I'm currently writing a book about my journey, about things I've been through, because I'm that kind of person that just want to inspire somebody. So when love is not enough, is going to be all about, don't see love as that's just the only thing. Love is just love. You know, I was there, I've done all that, and my advice is build friendship. Friendship is better than just love, because when the love is not there, how are you going to manage challenges? How are you going to manage, the obstacles that will come before you? And not only that, checking your genotype is so important. I cannot overemphasize on checking your genotype. You know why? Because in a place especially like Nigeria, you don't want to be spending money on hospital bills. You don't want to be spending money on hospital drugs and all those kind of things. It's really irritating, and it can be heartbreaking. It can be emotional. If you don't have them, if you're not strong, you cannot handle it. So my advice to young people,
Yeah.
people out there, check your genotypes before saying yes.
Yeah. So this is interesting and very very important to note. So again, uh, what were you trying to achieve with this foundation, Sickle Cell Warrior Foundation? What do
So,
you intend to achieve?
what I tend to achieve, I want to achieve a community of warriors. I want to achieve um not only a community, but I want to be able to reach out to strong people, strong minded people, people who are ready to take life to the next level, people who are ready to take their career to the next level. I always tell people, especially if you follow me on Facebook, I tell people, don't allow sickle cell to determine your life.
Yeah.
Don't allow sickle cell to, tell you how you will live your life. What do I mean by that? Don't use sickle cell as an excuse. Don't use sickle cell as, oh, I cannot do this, I cannot do that. I run three businesses, as you see me. I have two children, and I'm always up and down. People know me. I'm always up and down. If I'm not up and down, then you know that maybe I'm not fine or something, something. But I'm that kind of person that I don't allow things to, especially my health. I don't allow it to, run my life for me. Yeah.
Wow. So, um, in other words, in as much as um, some see this as a limitation, to you it is never a limitation,
No, it's not.
and it has. And I see where that warrior came from. I see where that warrior came from because you don't see any limit to what you can achieve and how you can go about your business. So it's more like we're just normal. You created a positive mindset around it and try to balance your life. And that's so interesting. So would you move it away a little away from your challenges with sickle cell? You've also faced abuse. And I'm wondering, how were you able to manage, abusive marriage with, being a warrior for sickle cell?
So yes. I was in an abusive marriage, and from 2021 up until 2022 3 up to 20 maybe 24, I went through a lot of pain. And some of those pains was like, God had already warned me that this challenge was coming, and he was going to remove me. And this is all about me. All this abuse and pain I went through was where I am, one of the reasons where I am today, because God was setting me on a path of bringing me out from where I went, from where I was going to, and to where I am going to now. So I went through a lot, and God kept me on the path, and I used it to share my story to warriors like myself.
So what were those in all your journey? Are
Yes,
there
sir.
notable dark moments that you almost gave up? What were those
So,
moments like, and how were you able to come out of those moments? Because these are some of the things that someone who probably might be in that journey might be looking at.
so one thing that I always tell people is, as long as you are alive, don't stop hoping. You see, hope is the only thing you can have to win in this life. Hope and determination. These two things should never leave your mind, should never leave your focus. Hope and determination, they are two similar things, you know. And when I was passing through what I was passing through, it it gave me it gave me so much joy that I was able to use those things to build myself up, to build my community, and to build somebody else out there, like a warrior, someone that's suffers from sickle cell. I always tell them, don't allow fear, but have hope. Once you have hope and you're alive, there's nothing you cannot achieve.
So what are the challenges? What are the major challenges of warriors? For sickle cell
So
warriors, what are the major challenges? What are the nightmares?
So as a warrior, you face pain, you want to give up, you don't know if you're going to live the next day. I can give you a little testimony. Last year, oh my God, last year I faced a lot of battles in my health. I was running in and out of hospital, running in and out of hospital. And at the time, I just felt like life was leaving my body. But one thing I still had was hope for my kids, hope that I will not die, hope
Yeah,
that I will live another day, hope
yeah,
that God that I serve will keep me to the next day for me to see a next day. And
mm,
God did it.
yeah. Interesting. In all this, would you
Yes, sir.
um, what would you say that you know battling sickle cell has taught you about resilience and strength?
So So one thing people know me for, especially on Facebook and mostly on social media, is that I'm one kind of person. They tell me, "Oh, she's the woman that breaks up bound. That there's nothing that I can't. I say I will do it. It might take me a while, but surely I will get to what I want to do." One thing I would tell people is strength. You need strength, and it's like what I said before, you need hope, because if you don't have hope, you can't have strength. And strength is one thing you should know and have confidence in your strength, that God is going to pull you through. And is again knowing your faith as a Christian, where do you stand? Have faith in God, believe in Him wholeheartedly, and you will definitely see God pull you through every step of the way.
Honestly, I love your confidence. So would you? This is one of the things that I don't think we'll leave the studio without you touching on it, and I think it is very, very vital. And that is the stigma around being a warrior. And this is what we see in our society day in, day out. How do you manage to get through with the stigmatization around this?
So I've seen a lot of stigma around sickle cell, and stigma can be like, oh, she's going to die soon anyway. Things like. or she's on medication anyway, how long left does she have? Or stigma like she can't have kids anyway. But you see all those things, they are all lies, because I am a testimony of them.
Yeah,
I have two children. I run three businesses. I'm an active mom, active. I don't know. I do so many things. Sometimes I ask myself, how do I manage to do all these things? And it's like I said, believing in yourself. If you cannot believe in yourself, then you will definitely believe the stigma. That's just the
yeah,
truth.
yeah. So you have to believe in yourself, build that positive mindset, and just work a it. That's the mindset.
Yes.
So before we leave, would you tell us more about your foundation? What have you been doing currently, and what do you intend to achieve?
So currently, I I'm on Instagram. I'm building a platform strictly for warriors. Like I said, Uju Sickle Cell Warriors. You can check me out there. Currently I plan to this maybe this year, next year, I want to build a community of warriors. I want to reach more warriors. My plan is, if I'm not able to do it this year, maybe next year, is to reach out to hospitals, especially in Nigeria. I want to reach out to hospitals. I want to be able to help warriors in hospitals, people who cannot pay for medication. I want to be able to give medications to warriors. I want to be able to, feed them. I want to be able to make them happy, because warriors, they need to be happy to be able to exceed in life. They need to be happy. They need to have that kind of confidence in themselves to be able to reach their potentials for their next generation or for the next generation.
That's great. So again, what do you want the world to know about, living with sickle cell?
So living with sickle cell is I don't know how to say it, but it's just that it's just what life has for you. So I always tell people, don't allow sickle cell. Sickle cell isn't a death sentence. That's just it. Sickle cell isn't a death sentence. It isn't far from what I have been telling you before, that having hope and strength is what you need, and determination. If you're determined, oh boy, you there's nothing you cannot achieve. You won't even know that you have sickle cell self.
Wow. This is very, very interesting. And I want to really appreciate you for making out time, to be in the studio with us. Like I said earlier, I wish we can always have you, to
Yeah,
stop
thank
by
you.
and see one thing what. I believe we've started and we will continue to keep this relationship from time to time. You will have to come into the studio and let the world hear your voice. But before we leave, two things is remaining. First, Uju, you're going to tell us how can people get across to you. Then before we come to the last one.
So if you want to get in touch with me, you can follow me on Instagram, Ujusical Self Foundation. You can also follow me on Facebook as Uju Irene Wakedi. I haven't yet started building my Facebook page, but I have a personal Facebook page as um Uju Irene Wakedi.
Okay, that's awesome. So there's this culture we have
Yeah,
here in Broken Nation. The last guest will always leave a message
yeah.
for the next guest. So today you're going to leave a message for the guest to come after you. But then the last guest left a message that will ask you that question. And he said, how do you find hope in the messy middle?
That's a hard question. Oh. um, hope, determination, and
Okay.
strength.
Hope, determination, and strength. Well, there is no um, good or bad answer to this. But then thank you so much for coming to the studio. But before you leave, so what will be your question for the next guest?
What will be my what?
What will be your question for the next guest?
So my question to the next guest is um what are your strengths during op- challenges?
Sorry, can I get that again?
What are your strengths during challenges?
What are your strengths during challenges? Interesting. Again, that would be a nice one. So we'll leave that for the next guest to answer. But then again, it's really nice having you on the studio. For those
Thank
of
you.
us who came in late, Uju is a sickle cell warrior and mother of two, an active mother at that. She's also an entrepreneur. She's into several businesses. She's a very strong and resilient woman. She's also beautiful and full of fire as well. Uju is nice having you on the studio or in the studio. Thank you so much, Uju. We look
Thank
forward to seeing
you.
you again.
Thank you for having
Bye.
me.
Indeed, a very wonderful session with Uju. Uju is quite phenomenal. Thank you guys for stopping by. Please, if you're not following us yet, do well to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and TikTok. And feel free also to write to us if you have a story to share. What we'll do on Growth so that we tell our stories to save life, to bring about healing. So if you feel you're healed of whatever journey or situation you've been through, feel free to write to us, go on any of our platforms and write to us and we'll respond to you. And we'll have you tell your stories to the world. In that way, we'll bring healing and we'll heal our environment. Thank you guys for being here again with us. In our last and famous word, we say love, peace, and more grace.